Sweet Christmas, you jive turkey, it's Luke Cage. Oh my God, I'm so white. Hey everybody, welcome back to Drinks and a Movie. Chris Hamker back with you, the very white Chris Hamker. I blame that on my parents. Is back with you. Today we'll be talking about the new Marvel Netflix series Luke Cage. First, let's start with the drink, and the drink I'm doing is the Harlem Cocktail. The Harlem Cocktail consists of 1.5 measures of gin, a half measure of grenadine liqueur, and 1 measure of pineapple juice. Sounds delicious, so let's see how it is. So we'll do the 1.5 of gin, 1.5, then the half of grenadine liqueur, and then the 1 of pineapple juice, or a lot of pineapple juice. How about 1.25? Who knows? It's pineapple juice. Doesn't really matter. All right, here we go. Let's shake this bastard up. And then it is strained into a martini glass, and you could garnish it with some fresh pineapple if you want. As we all know, pineapple grows in Harlem, so that's why this is in this drink. All right, let's see how this is. Cheers, everybody. Here is to Luke Cage. Pretty good. Luke Cage is third in the series of Marvel Netflix shows behind Daredevil and Jessica Jones. It centers on the 70s era's blaxploitation comic book character Luke Cage, and this time it's set in Harlem instead of Hell's Kitchen. It takes place after the events of Jessica Jones and Daredevil. At this time, Luke Cage is on the run after the events of Jessica Jones and finds himself in Harlem, where he's doing odd jobs at a barbershop, sweeping up hair, and washing dishes at a local nightclub. Now he becomes close with the barbershop's owner, Pops, and suddenly realizes, not suddenly, but starts to realize that the owner of the nightclub, Copperhead, played brilliantly by Mahershala Ali, is a crime boss in the neighborhood, who is working closely with Alfred Woodard's councilwoman. Cage quickly decides to take up arms against the crime boss, and, well, hilarity ensues, of course. All right, so now let's talk about a few of the things I did like about the show. The casting is impeccable. Mike Colter as Luke Cage brings a warmth and heart to this character that is really needed. I mean, you have to get behind this guy, and he really brought it. I think he was wonderful. The standout performance of the show is Mahershala Ali, and I hope I'm saying that right, as Copperhead. Oh my God, he was incredible. He plays the villain Copperhead, and he brings menace and charisma and likability even to his character without being cartoony. He has this laugh that is just infectious but also kind of scary at times. He's just wonderful and definitely the standout of this show. The other standout is his number one henchman, Shades, who is played by Theo Rossi, and he's just a cool, smooth guy that you just enjoy watching. He's always got something going on inside his head. He's always thinking 3 steps ahead of everybody else, even the guys he works for. And you get a nice little injection of Rosario Dawson as the night nurse, and she's shown up in all of these Netflix shows thus far, so it's a nice little connect through with her, and I like that a lot. Now, the other thing I loved about this show was the music. The music is wonderful in this. They have a special musical guest for every episode. And I know that sounds weird, but it really helped to propel the story along. I mean, it sometimes even worked as sort of an exposition and as almost a voiceover. And it was really incredible. Some of the special guests include Faith Evans, Raphael Sadiq, and the Delphonics. And I just can't say enough good things about the music. I mean, it really was something I think the show makers wanted to showcase about, you know, Harlem and that area of the city, and it really, really worked. Now, the story and the themes of the show are very simple. I mean, they don't do anything new with this whole, like, crime boss idea, but what I did like about that is it showed Luke Cage taking it upon himself to take his neighborhood back, and when he does that, the neighborhood kind of sees this and rallies around him, and it really did have this kind of Black Lives Matter movement to it, and that I really appreciate. They brought, you know, these current stories into the show, but not in a way that it kind of hits you over the head with it. It's very subtle, but also relevant. Okay, so now, like always, we got to talk about some of the things I didn't like about the show, and there were a few. I don't think it's a perfect show by any means. Like all of Netflix's Marvel television shows, Daredevil, Jessica Jones included, it could have used a bit of trimming. All of these shows are 13 episodes, and this one especially, and the others as well, could have been, you know, fine with a 8 to 10 episode run. They really didn't need 13 episodes. There were times in the show where there are scenes thrown in and just felt like total filler, and I honestly got bored sometimes. Now, the other thing I want to mention is the actor that played one of the big bad guys at the end, a character called Diamondback, played by Eric LaRae Harvey, was terrible and really hard to watch. I mean, this guy was way over the top. He just, I think he thought he was in a different show because he tried to chew the scenery so much that it took you out of this street level superhero thing and kind of went almost in like this Batman and Robin, Spider-Man 2-esque villain, and it just was terrible. He was really hard to watch, and I hated every minute of him. Plus, at the end, he had this suit on that was a very comic book accurate, but it just looked silly and stupid. Honestly, it just looked dumb. And lastly, I gotta talk about the action. Look, this is a really good drink. And by the magic of television, we got another one. Here we go, folks. Harlem Cocktail. Cheers. All right, look. The action in this wasn't very good. Luke Cage is a tank, and they do a really great job of conveying that to the audience. I mean, he's just bowling through people, but the problem is the action was cut to shit. It really wasn't very inspired, and at times just kind of boring. And the problem is, I think they run into this Superman effect, where Superman is, Luke Cage is essentially like Superman, except he can't fly. He is physically unbeatable, and when you do this over and over and over again, it gets old, and they couldn't find anything new to add to it. Add to this idea of this like unbeatable juggernaut of a guy. There wasn't a scene like the hallway scene in the first season of Daredevil, or the stairway scene in the second season of Daredevil. Hell, I think Luke Cage's best action scene is actually in Jessica Jones. Like, the bar scene is wonderful, or even the scene where he fights her. The problem is, if you have a character that can't be hurt, you don't have any fear for the character, which makes the scenes less interesting and less exciting. Now look, this is a good, solid series. I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I liked Luke Cage. I just didn't think it was as good as its predecessors, like the first 2 seasons of Daredevil or Jessica Jones. It's close, but just not quite as good. It's still really solid. It has great music, wonderful acting. It's just in those other couple of areas where it falls short, where I wish they would have tightened the narrative up a little bit and had some better action sequences. I was really disappointed in the action, but all in all, I thought it was pretty good. And I'm giving this, wait for it because I know you're all interested, 3.5 drinks out of 5. It was good. It's worth watching if you like these Netflix series. It's just, it's not quite as good as the others. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. Let me know what your favorite Marvel Netflix show is. There's only a couple to choose from, but I'm really interested to know. Again, if you like this, click like and share it, and subscribe down here at the bottom. Do all those things. Check out my Facebook page. I'm on Twitter as well. Thank you, everybody. Cheers. Have a drink on me.